When we can be more specific, that helps set both of you up for success instead of up for disappointment. When we're vague, there's so much room for our partner to fail. And in the name of partnership, we need to set them up for success, right? And I know it can be tiring to be like, well, why do I have to spell it out? Well, if you are wanting more support and they don't get it, do you want to hold on to your resentment all for the sake of, I don't feel like I need to tell them? Or would you rather work together as a team to figure out, okay, well, if he's not noticing what I'm talking about, I can either help him or I can continue faulting him while not helping him at all, right? You're essentially setting him up and your marriage up for failure.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life and marriage? Let's dive in.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. Now, last week, I shared an episode about what to do when you and your partner escalate each other, when the conversation spirals out of control. This week, I want to talk about having calm conversations and something that doesn't get talked about enough. What I want you to know about calm conversations is that having a calm conversation doesn't automatically mean you're having a productive one, which is the end goal, to have a productive conversation. Just because you and your partner don't yell at each other doesn't mean that you walk away feeling like you solved anything. And that's because emotional regulation is only step 1. You still need a way to turn the conversation into a resolution where you walk away from it having learned something or having figured out something, or ideally both. And most couples are taught one of 2 things when it comes to conflict: either avoid it or stay calm and communicate nicely. But almost no one talks about how to move from the problem to a solution together. So conversations often look like repeating the same complaints, explaining your side again and again to the point where you're over-explaining, trying to prove your point, or hoping the other person eventually agrees, right? By persuading them. But that isn't collaboration. That's just 2 people presenting their case as if they're in a court, right? Like where you have the prosecutor and the defense. But if you're in a marriage, you're supposed to be on the same team, right? You're not supposed to be battling each other. You're supposed to be collaborating, which means that the missing skill is collaborative problem solving. So instead of focusing on who's right, who's wrong, whose feelings matter more, whose feelings are louder, the conversation shifts towards what would actually help us move forward. And this often gets lost in the midst of conflict because you start focusing on distractions, like when you make something that your partner said mean something about you, and then you go reacting rather than partnering up with each other, trying to figure things out as a team. This is where having a communication framework is really handy. So for mine's called PEACE. Each letter stands for something. It's an acronym, right? P is for pause, making sure both people are regulated enough to talk. So if you're experiencing heightened emotions, that is not the time to talk. That is a time for you to give yourself a time out to gain clarity around what is going on with me. Why do I feel so strongly about this? What is it that I'm feeling? What is it that I'm needing? What is it that I'm wanting? And how do I package this up in a way that will encourage my partner to continue to stay engaged in this conversation. AKA, how do I say this so that I'm not attacking my partner, right? E is for express, sharing what's going on internally without blaming, right? So truly owning your experience and telling things from a factual standpoint and very matter of fact, right? So that means not assuming you know what your partner meant or what their motivations were or what they were trying to do, but rather just speaking firmly based on your experience, what you know to be true about yourself, and anything factual that happened that someone watching could confirm. A is for acknowledge. It is so important to acknowledge what your part is in this. So being accountable for what you did or how you reacted that contributed to where you're both at right now. So acknowledging your part, acknowledging also how your partner feels, so validating them even if you don't agree. C is for collaborate, which is asking those really insightful, important questions so that you can practice that curiosity and show your partner, hey, I am here with you. I want to know how we can improve this, how we can improve our communication, what we can do better next time, or things that you need to know so that you can understand your partner on a deeper level so you can prevent whatever happened from happening again, because you'll have more information to keep in mind now that you know more about what happened and make different choices going forward. And then lastly, E is for embrace, right? Reconnecting after a parent is so important. This is what solidifies that connection with you two instead of weaken it, because conflict can feel really jarring to your relationship. And so it's really important to reconnect as a couple afterwards, right? Take your lessons learned and then do something to reconnect. Now, what often happens here is that even though you can have a calm conversation, issues don't go resolved because people are being too vague or not asking the right questions, right? So, for example, I was working with a couple and the wife was like, I just need you to help out more. And the husband heard that as, you don't do enough. You don't help out enough, or you don't help at all, or you are just not here with me. I feel like you are absent. And that could feel really offensive to a husband if they feel like they are doing a lot. And both things can be true, right? The husband can feel like they're doing a lot and their efforts are going unnoticed or unrecognized or dismissed. And the wife can still want more support. But as you can see, there's a misunderstanding going on here, and none of it is being shared, right? It's all going on in their heads. And so this is where being more clear can be really helpful. So in this moment, the husband is making a lot of assumptions about what his wife means by that, right? What she means by saying, I need you to help out more. And instead of making these grand assumptions about what she's meaning and what she's saying about him by saying that, asking for clarity is so important. What do you mean by help out more? What does helping out more look like to you? I say that phrase a lot. What does blank look like to you? How would that look like? How would that play out, right? When we can be more specific, that helps set both of you up for success instead of up for disappointment. When we're vague, there's so much room for our partner to fail. And in the name of partnership, we need to set them up for success, right? And I know it can be tiring to be like, well, why do I have to spell it out? Well, if you are wanting more support and they don't get it, you are essentially helping yourself by spelling it out. Because if they're doing their best and they still don't get it, do you want to hold on to your resentment all for the sake of, I don't feel like I need to tell them? Or would you rather work together as a team to figure out, okay, well, if he's not noticing what I'm talking about, I can either help him or I can continue faulting him while not helping him at all, right? You're essentially setting him up and your marriage up for failure. Another thing that I noticed that happens a lot is that we can get stuck in this loop of over explaining ourselves, right? Explaining why we're upset, trying to justify how we feel, rather than just stating and sharing and expressing how we feel, and then jumping straight into what is the solution for this going forward, right? And we do this because we are seeking their agreement, their validation that we are rightfully upset. But you don't need anyone to justify that. You need to justify that for yourself, right? If you feel upset, that's okay, right? Our emotions are not the enemy. Our emotions are actually our teachers. And only once we listen to them and give them a voice can we start to validate ourselves. And also, that is the only way for us to start having more productive conversations. But if we're focusing on, oh, I need my partner to agree with me that I'm rightfully upset, that's missing the mark, right? You're upset, period, right? That's it. Cool. What do we do about that? What is the solution to that? So we need to shift away from blaming and making it our partner's job to fix it. Instead, look at it as, well, that upset me. Let's figure out how we can navigate this differently going forward, because you're learning something about yourself. Something set you off. Something's not okay with you. And that could look like a solution that involves just you doing something differently, like starting to take care of yourself better, having better boundaries so you don't get burnt out. Or it could look like telling your partner what you're experiencing so they can be aware next time and make a decision based on knowing this about you. So keeping you in mind when they make these decisions. So specific questions like, what would make this easier for both of us? What would help us in this situation going forward? In essence, what can we do differently so that we don't have this come up again, right? This is how partnership works in real time. This is where you're planning together, making decisions together, supporting each other, and this is what helps issues stop coming up each week. If you're noticing that you're having the same fights, then you're not having the conversations that are needing to happen in order to not have these fights again, right? There's a pattern. Figure out the pattern, talk about that, and talk about what you can do in the future so that you're no longer fighting about the same thing anymore, right? This is the kind of collaborative problem solving that allows you to resolve issues faster, allows you to feel like a team again, and allows you to stop having the same damn conversations and arguments over and over again. We all don't have the time to be doing that. So this is how you move your relationship forward. This is how you grow it instead of feeling stuck, right? Instead of building that resentment like, oh my God, here we go again, talking about the same damn thing again and again, fighting about the same thing again and again, right? So if you're wanting your conversations to feel calmer, but you're not noticing anything actually changing, and you're having the same arguments every so often, that's a sign that there's collaboration missing. That's a sign that there's clarity missing. That's a sign that maybe there's too much vagueness going on, okay? So if this is you, I've got two things for you. I have a conflict to connection guide that will walk you through how to help yourself gain more clarity to have more productive conversations. So in this process, you get to ask yourself questions or use this guide as a way to process your feelings and your needs so that you can have better conversations, okay? And of course, if you're like, we need some serious help, we've tried what you're saying and it's not working for us, then it's probably time for more personalized support. And you can get that by booking a clarity call so we can chat about what exactly is going on in your marriage and figure out how marriage coaching can support you in growing out of that pattern, right? And establishing a new, healthier one that actually feels better for your marriage. Okay, that's it for this episode. If you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share this with them. Better yet, share this episode in your Instagram stories and tag me, and I'll give you a shout out. If you love this show, thank you so much for being a listener. I so appreciate you being here. Please consider leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That's what helps this show grow and helps more people like you get the support that they need. And I'll catch you back here on the next episode. Bye.
That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.